Well, hello. Welcome to Hello Chaos. It's a weekly podcast exploring the messy and chaotic minds and lives of founders, entrepreneurs, and innovators. Every week, we talk to entrepreneurs from different industries, different company stages of all shapes and sizes. We hear those real, raw, and honest and unbiased founder stories to hear all the good, the great, the ugly of all the parts of being a founder. And it's why we like our mantra, it's where aha meets oh shit. Or as we were laughing as another little, you know, saying that we have around the office is this is where you come and unmute yourself. So we drop new episodes every Sunday so founders can listen to us on a Sunday afternoon, get ready for the week, or maybe their drive into the office on Monday. HelloCast is one of the many resources brought to you by Orange Whip. That is Orange Whip, WIP for work in progress. Orange Whip is a multimedia company dedicated to serving founders and entrepreneurs in affiliate cities through hyperlocal media platforms that are designed to inform, inspire, and create connections that help founders succeed. We are an all in one content hub for founders, fresh and engaging stories. We curate calendars in every market. We create these local dynamic roadmaps to navigate the local entrepreneurial ecosystem. We've really done all the hard work for a founder or an entrepreneur so they can go to one trusted source to get all the local information they need. My name is Jennifer Sutton. And my friends and family do call me JJ. I am the founder of Orange Whip. And today we're going to do something a little bit different. Wanted to take a moment as we've talked to, gosh, well over a couple thousand founders, entrepreneurs across the country, not just with the podcast, but with our editions and just getting out and what are the biggest challenges? And most people know I do also run a marketing agency. It's a full service marketing and advertising agency called Bright Marketing, which is Orange Whip's studio for creating the content. But as we talk to on the bright side, we talk to not just founders, but we work with, CEOs of large scale companies, big brands, Fortune 500, Inc. 5000 type of companies. And it's funny, I've been talking to a lot of marketing folks, marketing departments, and CEOs, and I think there's a confusion of what's the difference between marketing, branding, or advertising. And a lot of companies come to the Bright team, and they're like, "I have an advertising problem. Can you help?" And when we start dissecting that problem, we realize, "Ooh, you really have a branding problem," or "Ooh, you really have a marketing problem." So if you ever felt stuck in a maze of marketing, branding, and advertising, don't know where the problem really exists, and if you're listening to this and going, "I thought all those terms were the same," then you're in the right place. We're going to do a little special episode that's really trying to uh, untangle, dissect a little bit of what is the difference between marketing, branding, or advertising. So let's just take a few moments. Let's talk about marketing problem. What is that? This is like you're being lost at sea with the coordinates, but lacking a compass. Perhaps you're venturing into a labyrinth of marketing problems. It's like looking into the business through the lens of what we call the 7 Ps of marketing, or if you are on the bandwagon of it's the SAVE, SAVE, looking at through that method. And some people are like, there are 7 Ps in marketing. I mean, if you're, you know, as old as me, we started out with 4 Ps. Of marketing, but now it's kind of evolved to 7 Ps or SAVE, um, and let's break down what is the 7 Ps of marketing, or SAVE if you haven't heard either one of those. And my producer's looking at me like, oh my God, here you go again on your soapbox. But it's really, think of marketing as really that mysterious puzzle of you might have a product or solution and it's unique, but maybe your puzzle isn't really coming together. It's, you've got an awesome solution, but how do you get your entire operation working efficiently, effectively? So, the original P's were product, place, price, promotion. Promotion meaning anything under that advertising bucket, the four media buckets of paid, earned, social, and owned. The additional P's were the needed to add on, people, physical presence, and process. And really, as brands started to and companies started to evolve, it became really uh, relevant and apparent to a lot of CEOs of like, okay, I've got my product, or in the SAVE method, it's the solution. What problem are you solving? And it wasn't just about place or distribution. It's really about access because of how, we as consumers are very omni-channel now. So how are we getting access to the products and the services that we need? And that's where physical presence come into play and go, are you consistent? Are you standing out? Is your brand, meaningful? Wherever you get the, give access to. And then of course, pricing, you know, pricing is that, are you the lowest priced or are you one of the highest priced? Well, how are you justifying that? What's your value proposition? What's your brand value, that brand equity? And in the SAVE method, that's the V for value. And then, promotion, again, it's that advertising, the four media buckets: paid, earned, social, or owned. In the SAVE, that's the E, and that's educate, whether it's the people, like we said, those people strategies of, are you educating and informing your consumers? Maybe it's your sales team that you've got to teach how to pitch, how to help sell through. Is it your employees of how to get, your culture, the engagement, create brand ambassadors internally? Maybe it's your partners, your distributors, the dealers, but that's all about in that advertising, promotion, education bucket. And the one P that doesn't really exist, or it's really I guess implied in the SAVE method, is process of, are you empowering that front line? Is there friction in marketing, the bridge between marketing to sales? Is there a process problem when you're dealing with, setting up your CRM, or setting up your CRM to your marketing automation tool, your email communication? How are you bridging that gap? And those are things where, we come in or Bright comes in as a, full service marketing and advertising agency. We're trying to uncover where the problem is, because sometimes it's not necessarily let's go dump money in advertising. It could be we need to uncover, like, is the advertising program running at full cylinders? Are you generating the return on ad spend, your cost per conversion, your cost per click, your click-through rate? Are you above or below industry standards? Maybe you're not maximizing your channel. Maybe you're not on enough channels and you're underspending. So there's a lot of things in the advertising world that we kind of come in and go, is it advertising? Maybe it's like, whoa, your click-through rates are, we've had a client that's like, man, your click-through rates, we're generating traffic to your website. We've got clicks to your website, but you're only closing 10%. That's a problem. That's not an advertising problem. That's usually a brand problem, could be an ad message problem that we need to understand, could be a sales enablement problem that we've got to, listen to the phone calls or really help those executives at the company to go, what's happening there? You should be closing more than 10%. You really should be closing more like 20%, 30% in this market. And then what are you doing to, if you're not closing just 10%, what are you doing to nurture the 90%? Just had a conversation with a COO at a company, and he's like, yeah, I'm spending everything in Meta. I'm getting leads, but I'm only closing 10%. And I'm like, whoa, that's not a good thing. Let's look at your message. Let's listen to the phone calls that come in. Maybe it's the script. Or as he was, started dissecting and, let me hear, all the issues, he was going into, and it was whatever quote they had to close those 10%, they were removing all the margin. So they were going, oh, the competitor kind of like price matching. Well, again, you got a brand problem. You got a messaging problem of like you haven't figured out your value proposition in order to communicate it with clarity so that you don't have to sit and start discounting your product, especially if you're a premium product in the marketplace. So that's a brand problem. And if you get that fixed, it makes your advertising work so much harder, makes that spend work so much harder. So, we start asking questions of companies of like, do you know your vision? Do you have a mission and vision? Does it inspire and motivate people to want to work with you or stay working with you? Are they really good brand ambassadors? What's your engagement rate of your employees? What's your churn rate? What's your turnover rate with your employees? What about your partners, your vendors, your distributors? So trying to understand kind of, is it a brand problem? Is it a marketing problem there? Are your values meaningful? Are they unique or ownable among the audiences you serve? Does your frontline feel empowered or have the authority to make you money? That could be a marketing problem, could be a brand problem. So those are things that we kind of ask. Like I said, we ask your close rates. If they're lower than 30%, that should be a big red flag. One of the clients on Brightside, we've got a client that they don't even know their close rate. It's a significant, very large scale transportation, a manufacturer and dealer, and they have never measured the close rate or the churn rate of their customers. So those are some like red flags of we need to figure that out because again, we could be throwing money at opportunities, and if we're not closing, that's a problem. And this particular transportation company, as we started talking, they were like, yeah, we need to uncover it. So we're using, an ad strategy to really elevate to the CEO that, you know, it might be more affordable to spend money in advertising to get a better brand awareness and brand consideration and preference versus just giving the sales team, just throwing them like extra commissions or hiring, additional salespeople, because there's not a sales strategy. There's not a sales enablement program. There's not a fully functioning CRM that's tracking pipeline management. So there might be some other places that organization needs to spend money, but we can make the advertising work much harder if we knew, hey, they have a close rate of 50% and there it's a 6-month sell-in cycle. Makes advertising decisions way easier and way more effective. Um, when we look in and someone's like, I feel like it's an like we dissect the advertising. Does the agency you're working for, do they practice media mix modeling and projections and estimations? Because there's a lot of tools out in the marketplace that allow you to do that. We have it. We look at what is our ROI, the click-through rate, the ROAS. We look at CPC, CTR. Are we above or below the category standards? Not just industry, but like in your category. What's the conversions and what's all the way through? We started working with a client about 6 months ago, and their agency only gave them impressions. And I'm like, but what were they buying? And they're like, pay per click. And I was like, well, just in that tactic alone, it's pay per click. You're paying for clicks, traffic to your website. And the agency was only reporting the impressions in search. That's a red flag. But then working with them to kind of go, okay, we're getting traffic to your website. We're paying for traffic to your website. This is low hanging fruit. These are people that are already in the preference part of the funnel. So what do we need to do to convince them on that landing page? And I think that's another, A lot of times advertising, agent, they dump them into the homepage. No, 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 no. You need to put them in a convertible landing page that is controlling that user experience so that you're getting the highest amount of conversions. Um, and then if you're not, like we've had a client that we were getting um, great click-through rates. People started the process of appointment setting, but then abandoning that process. And as we started dissecting that, what we realized is there was too much friction in the form to set the appointment, and then there was also too much fear of we need to educate and use a little bit more content on the website or on that landing page to go download this video. Just give us your name and your email for get on our blog. We'll give you tips and tricks. It's free. Capture the lead and then use your marketing automation, use your other tools, your sales team to then nurture that lead further. To again, it's all about generating that lead and then working that lead through your pipeline. Sometimes we work with clients and that, the marketing problem, it's they've got a product problem. Like their product is either over engineered, and they can't make money on it off of it because they haven't done the proper analysis of the market to meet their margin goals. Sometimes their pricing isn't set right. So, should they be charging more? Maybe they can get away with less and then generate more volume. So those are things that we can help them figure out in that pricing, that product development. Is there market acceptance for that solution? Those are big, big questions. But instead of going out and spending a ton of money, let's make sure that we remove that friction in the organization. Are you giving your audience, are you giving them access in the right places where they consume, where they spend time and energy? Are you available there? Does the distribution strategy help or hurt your brand? We've worked with a client in the past where they had a brand problem. They wanted to be, and their product was fantastic. The market concept acceptance was, unbelievable. They were on Shark Tank, had a ton of visibility, but their distribution strategy as a premium product in the fashion and beauty industry, but they were putting it out in Walmart and Walgreens, and it's like that is not premium fashion and beauty. You should have been in Sephora, you should have been in Ulta, going into some of the some of the Amazon niche stores, but and they didn't even realize how they were devaluing their product based on their distribution. They were just excited to get on shelves. Um, we work with clients to figure out what do they think or feel about the company? What do the people think? What do they think about the solution in comparison to the competitors? What's the equity do they have in the marketplace? And then, we work with a lot of chambers, utilities, different cities, municipalities, and a lot of them go, we don't need to know our brand equity. Well, I think they kind of do, but we translate it in more of like, how healthy is that brand? Or what's the value of the brand in terms of social currency? So that when they put out um, memorandums or they've got to, put out new policies, how well will those be accepted? So a lot of times we help those type of organizations to figure out how healthy their brand is and what's the social currency and the value in order for them to know how hard it's going to be to put stuff in the marketplace. That's a marketing problem that we've got to uncover. Because sometimes utilities and municipalities, they've got to put out a lot of policies that piss off the constituents and their stakeholders. How do we make sure that when they put those things out, it's an easier sell into their communities? But yeah, so that's what we find companies. It's like, is it a brand? Is it an advertising? And is it a marketing? And there are solutions for all of those and to get those issues fixed and to move a company or an organization forward. It's you gotta not just find the problem, spot it, but it's about solving it. And I think that's the biggest issue that we work with. So it's as we've talked to many founders, business owners, marketing departments, sometimes they're so focused on the tactic or what they think is the problem, and they haven't spent the time to really uncover and identify the real problem. Where's the real friction that can unlock and unstuck them to scale exponentially? And they spend in the wrong places. So once you know the problems, or sometimes it's many problems, right? There might be a pricing issue, there might be a product issue, it could be an advertising and a brand and message issues. But once you kind of identify those, then you can focus on what are the insights to solve those issues, and then prioritize the time, money, and resources against solving those problems. There is not one company in this world that goes, I have unlimited time, money, and resources. And especially for smaller businesses and startup founders, time, money, and resource and or energy that you can afford um, to solve these problems. You got to prioritize. Can't fix everything at once. What is the lowest hanging fruit? And then, like, how do we just knock those things down? Then your company can truly, truly scale like exponentially. It's amazing to watch companies that get unstuck in that way um, to start growing and thriving. So that is today's episode is on, is it a marketing problem? Is it a branding problem? Is it an advertising problem? And they are not all one and the same. There you have it. So that is my, JJ soapbox for the day. And we can so I appreciate anyone listened to us live today. I appreciate it. Thank you for hanging out and chatting with us. We've got some good upcoming episodes over the next few weeks. I'm super excited for a couple of them. And then the last two or three that we've had, check out the last two. They've been amazing episodes as well. Great tips and tricks from some founders that we've talked to. But again, this episode will be published this coming Sunday, available on all podcast platforms. Pick your favorite. We're there. So subscribe to Hello Chaos, like and share. Help us grow a great and more connected entrepreneurial community. HelloCast is one of the many resources brought to you by Orange Whip. That is Orange Whip, WIP for work in progress. Orange Whip is a multimedia company dedicated to serving founders and entrepreneurs in affiliate cities. We are 100% free, just an email to join the community, especially if you're local. So if you're in the Greenville area, so the upstate of South Carolina, the Midlands of South Carolina, Charleston of South Carolina, it's just an email to join. We do curate your calendars in those local markets. We have a dynamic resource directory to, help you navigate the ecosystem with ease. And every week we send a little email to your inbox with all the upcoming events, live events, incubator deadlines, accelerator deadlines, grant opportunities. Those things hit your inbox every Sunday to help you get ready for the week or be aware of stuff that's coming down the pipeline for you. Check out the new edition that's going to be, we've got a current edition that's on women-owned founders, minority-owned founders in these markets, some amazing stories, great tips and tricks. The upcoming edition is around how did brands pivot? How did companies pivot? And what do they do to overcome those challenges? So there'll be some good stories there. That'll be in the April edition coming up. So find your city and enjoy. Y'all, thank you for tuning in to Hello Chaos. It is where aha meets oh shit. I am your host, Jennifer Sutton, JJ. We will see you again next week.